coming up to me, who are all these people? Like they have so many offensive weapons. I don't think I've paid attention to it that much because I've been so enamored with the run game, and you hear Amon-Ra and you hear Laporte, but you talked Tim Patrick last night, you saw Jameson Williams. It was a two-headed monster in the backfield. We know about this offensive line. It was super impressive. If you can keep Jared Goff in that lane, I said it earlier today, I think this team can walk their way into the Super Bowl representing the NFC. It's only when you can get them off schedule. Yeah. That's when they fall apart. But if they stay like that, it's
I'm going to put you on the spot. To be a good run offense, what is one of the most important things you need? What was
blocking wide receivers.
Blocking wide receivers.
Let's go, Hawk.
That's a culture in Detroit. That's one of the reasons why they have such a good run game. And I'm done saying play action. I'm saying run action for them because it looks the same. Those are the two wide receivers on this play, Hawk. Now, you're going to motion Amon-Ra down to kind of like that B gap between the center and the guard. First of all, Josh Reynolds is blocking a defensive end, passes him off to that tight end. Remember Amon-Ra coming down? He's blocking a linebacker right now in the A gap. Reynolds on the outside. This goes from a 2-yard run. You talk about capturing the edge offensively. Their wide receivers are willing to do that. This is why I say run action for Detroit, okay? Number one, you got the back in the backfield, the receiver split, and then two tight ends. Jared's pointing out the linebacker. That's a run cell. They're trying to declare responsibilities in the run game. There comes the motion. Now, this is why I say run action. There's 11 yards between the safety and the linebackers, okay? Now, look how much as those linebackers commit up and you got vertical speed to lift the coverage. Look at the window in the middle of the field that you have now created. Look at it from that back angle, right? When Jared makes that fake, there is so much displacement because it's not play action. It's run action, and the defense actually believes in the run. It all goes back to that motion, Jared pointing, everybody being part of that run game, and then you see how the third level and the second level get expanded because of the way it looks.
I love that. The other thing that they're doing is they've gotten back to crafting yak opportunities, and it plays in that what both of you guys said. All of the weapons, that's why they're popping the way they are. The way that they block in the run game also helps them get out in space on the run. 218 of Jared Goff's 292 were yards after catch yards. That's 75%. That doesn't happen by accident. That is an in-season adjustment from Ben Johnson because they weren't great to begin the season of saying, yo, let's get these receivers and weapons on the move across the field with crossers, return routes, jerk routes, screens, you name it, and let our playmakers take care of business.
Absolutely.
That's when they're at their best. And last night it was on full display.
It's like the 49ers.
Yes,
in
exactly.
many ways. There's a lot of similarities to that offense.
You said crap.
Okay. I really want to highlight this because I've been doing a lot of clips today and talking a lot about coaching. And I think this is really where Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell really deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Tremendous amount of credit. Because I actually just recorded a clip talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's so obvious how poorly coached and how ill-prepared the Philadelphia Eagles are in any given game. And then you compare that to what the Detroit Lions are doing, and it only highlights that even more. It only highlights the poor coaching of the Philadelphia Eagles and the great elite top-level coaching of the Detroit Lions, right? One, like I just said, they are just prepared to play. Everybody is where they need to be at any given moment. That's coaching. That's Dan Campbell. That's saying we practice hard, we play hard, let's go. And that's when people get confused where they just say it's the rah-rah. Some of it is there, right? Some of it is inspiring, motivating people, getting people to be, ready to go. But sometimes the rah-rah is also like, no, we're going to practice hard. We're going to do what needs to be done. We're going to do all these little things. And again, it's more than just being a cheerleader. It's really making sure that we're going to do this again and again and again until it's right? Like it's that hard level of coaching. And that's what's really cool about Dan Campbell is not only is he a hard coach, but he does it in a way that feels supportive, right? It's not in a way where it's like where it makes these players feel where if they fail, they're just going to be thrown out the window, right? Like it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm going to coach you hard. I'm going to be hard on you. But it's like, it is legitimately coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place that I'm doing this because I think we can really succeed together as a team, as a family. And it's infectious. The players buy into it. The other coaching staff, the rest of the coaches buys into it. The fans buy into it. And I think the film doesn't lie in that regard. And then you now combine that with a Ben Johnson, who's obviously really significantly the brains of this offense and the master play caller. And like they kind of highlighted, like Andrew highlighted about some of these in-season adjustments of trying to get a lot of these weapons on the move and get a lot of yards after catch. And again, that's where it's just this combination between him and Dan Campbell, where it's like, okay, this is what we need to do. And then Dan Campbell's like, all right, great. Well, we're going to practice and work hard and make sure that we do exactly what we need to do. And it's like, it's just perfect, right? And it's actually so funny because I made a Lions video the other day talking about when you watch this team, right? It's this combination, just the physicality of this team now and what they look like. The players themselves. I'm like, they not only have the speed and the power, but they also have the intelligence. And then I made some comment where I was like, they got the brawn and the brains. And it's funny because at that time I wasn't really connecting it to the coaching staff. And it's like, that's who their coaches are, right? That's who their DC, their OC, and their head coach all are. Like, it makes so much sense that now this team has the identity of their coaching staff, right? It's physical, it's hard, it's never give up on a play, it's intelligent, it's fast, right? It's innovative, it's progressive, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That just so happens to be who their coaches are. Go figure, right? Like, they're the parents of this family, and these are their children, and it makes total sense. So that's really exciting. If you're a Lions fan, like, that's something that you can feel great about, right? That's something that will continue to translate game after game after game. And it's not to say that every game is going to be perfect, right? You're going to have some off games like the Buccaneers games, but it's just when you can actually point to why your team is successful, that makes you more resilient. That gives you a greater identity, and it also helps you moving forward in the later weeks. And it also shows that it's not misleading or fool's gold, which is why that loss versus the Buccaneers I felt was like misleading, because I was like, that's not really the Lions team that we know. And other people, especially Bucs fans, wanted to be like, it's because the Bucs are so good and yada yada. And it's like, that's not actually really what happened. You can tell that this was not the Lions team. This was not their identity. This is not who we know the Lions to be. Because again, there's plenty of teams that have success or lack thereof, and you can point why something is happening. And when you can figure out why, is it just because the other team was bad? Is it just because, there was a lot of missed tackles, this, that, and the third? And that's when you get some of these teams that appear to be a lot better than they actually are. Or it's just like, okay, they were able to execute this for like the first two games, and now they can't. When you're looking at the Lions, especially if you're dating back from last year, you can pinpoint, why has this team been a great team? What continues to make this team a great team? And how do they continue to evolve? And when you can point to the concrete reasons why, you can have confidence in this team. That's when you can really start to build the confidence around how great you think they can be. And that's why, Marcus was kind of saying, like, this team, he said they can walk to the Super Bowl, right? He really sees them obviously, miles ahead of everyone else. And it's hard not to buy into that. It's going to be interesting to see them go up against the Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, and some of these other tougher games. And depending on, how the playoffs unfold and stuff like that, whether it's the 49ers or, any of these other teams. But I still think they need to grow. I still think they need to evolve. I still think they need to button things up. I still think they need to get better situationally, as I talked about at length. But all in all, when it gets kind of discussed in this way, the Lions begin to make significantly more sense. And it's just, at the end of the day, whether they win or lose, it'll really just come down to execution, right? Are they able to properly execute in the game? And when you have, when you practice as hard and as when you come as prepared as the Lions, you're going to bet that they are going to be able to execute. Will the football gods, be on their side in come time playoffs? That you just never know. So, but yeah, I think this is incredibly encouraging and very exciting to see unfold. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions and how well they're coached and how they execute their offense and their defense, for that matter? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.